are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast. I'm Dylan Aboytek on Twitter, here to update you on the latest in Auburn athletics news. As just to get into it, because there's an elephant in the room, and we're going to discuss it in just a second. Just to get this out of the way, Auburn men's basketball took on Vanderbilt in Nashville for the midweek. And I'm not going to spend too long on this because, of course, by the time you're watching this, it's been you're getting on 48 hours since the last time. And now we know what game everyone is now talking about as we speak. So, yeah, Vanderbilt came and gone. Auburn got the win by 12 points, but they had to fight tooth and nail to get there. Auburn started off hot yet again, like they did versus Florida. And what happened? They slowed down. The edge wasn't there anymore for the basketball team. Vanderbilt came right back. Halftime, Auburn had a 2-point lead after being up by as much as I want to say it was in the 20s. At least it felt like it. 16 was the largest lead Auburn had. And then the second half started, and it was back and forth. Vanderbilt got the lead a couple of times. Auburn got it back, and then ultimately Auburn came back and just took it over. Vanderbilt actually out-rebounded Auburn in this game, as well as forced 8 turnovers from the Tigers, scored 12 off of those. Auburn forced 12 turnovers, got 19 points out of those. Fast break points, Vanderbilt had 10 to Auburn's 1 points in the paint. It was even at 40. And shot percentage-wise, Auburn free throws, terrible, as opposed to Vanderbilt, who shot 92% as a team from the free throw line. Threes where it came into play here. Vanderbilt started chucking up threes. Shot 17% as a team, which is ridiculous. But big storylines from this game, of course. First half, Denver Jones had a shut up and watch showcase for any fan that doubted him. 21 points for Denver Jones. And, of course, off the bench in the second half, you got a Chaney Johnson emergence getting 20 points himself. Janai Broom got 17. And Todd Pettiford got 9, and then it was 6 points from Dylan Cardwell, 4 points from Chris Moore, who actually started both halves due to Chadwick Mazar being a little banged up, which explains some of the play as of late. But CBM 0-4, 0-6 from the field, 0-4 from the three-point line, 0 points, but 2 steals, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. He didn't put up points on the box score, but he definitely made his presence known defensively, which is going to play into a big factor for Saturday. And then Jimmy Hudson got himself some minutes there. But if Auburn can get healthy, you got a couple of days before. Janai Broom definitely had some issues where he did look a little banged up. But that's the SEC. That's what's going to happen if you're playing your best and you're getting the team's best every single day, every single week. It's going to happen because, Vanderbilt was a giant killer going into this game. This is definitely a game that had Auburn lost, I don't know if I'd be butthurt about it. I felt like it was a loss that could have definitely happened because of what we've seen earlier in the year with Vanderbilt, especially taking on teams, beating Kentucky and beating Tennessee as well. But got the win nonetheless. And I'm trying. I think the lights just flickered because there's a storm going on, an active storm going on. We're under tornado watch as I'm recording this. But yeah, Auburn got the 12-point win over Vanderbilt, and now moving on. Go ahead and talk about what everybody wants to hear about. The Iron Bowl of basketball is this Saturday at 3:00 p.m. CST. Auburn currently projected to win by ESPN FPI 52% for the Tigers and 48%. I'm rounding up and rounding down. 48% for Alabama. Basically, it's going to be a pick 'em. I don't know the spread yet. It's not been announced, but I'm pretty sure it's basically going to be a pick 'ems. This could go either way. But yeah, this 3:00 p.m. in the airplane hangar. This game's going to be on ESPN. I don't believe Luka Doncic is going to get traded again to move this to ESPN2. But what does this game look like? This is an unstoppable object versus an immovable force. That is what this is. Alabama has a lights out offense. This offense is averaging 90 points per game. 90.5 to be exact, which is first in the league, or first in the country, albeit. They're also a great rebounding team, third in the nation as well. But what does this bring for Auburn? Auburn, ninth in the nation in terms of points per game. But look at points allowed. Auburn gives about 10 less points than Alabama does. The 68 to 78 is the difference there. And of course, Alabama is a team that lives and dies by the 3-point line at times, and they've done a lot more living than dying it by it this year. 34% as a team, of course, led by guys like Mark Sears, who's averaging 17 points a game, shooting 35% from the 3-point line. Aiden Holloway, a name that I'm going to have to talk about this episode, and his 11 points per game for Aiden and 42% from the 3-point line for him. LeBaron Filan has not been shooting that well, but is averaging 10 points a game, 2 star-studded freshmen, or 1 star-studded freshman and a sophomore showcasing themselves for this outstanding offense. Of course, Grant Nelson, 12 points per game for him, but he's leading the team in rebounds, 8.1, and blocks with 1.4. So you're going to see Grant Nelson versus Dylan Cardwell in the paint. And I don't really know if there is a guy who can stand up to Janai Broome outside of Grant Nelson in this game. But the big key here for Auburn's defense is going to be Denver Jones and Miles Kelly as they go against the guards coming in from Alabama. And of course, Todd Pettiford gets thrown into that mix as well, because Alabama is going to control the pace of this game. It's been a while, and I heard a stat about this. Alabama has like 70% possessions a game. That's ridiculous, and they have just been throttling teams as of late. I mean, if you look back at when they played Texas, they beat Texas by I want to say 20 points, 23 points to be exact. And of course, Arkansas gave them a little bit of a fit, but then they beat Georgia by 21 points. Mississippi State gave them a little bit of a fit. LSU by 7, beat Vanderbilt by, I'm trying to do the math on that, 16. Kentucky beat them by 5. Lost to Ole Miss, which won't ever forget about that. Beat A&M by 6. There we go. Trying to do my math. Beat South Carolina by 20. And SEC conference play started with Oklahoma. Beat them by, I'm not even going to try to do the math on that, a lot, almost 30 points. So yeah, this is a team that puts up a lot of points, but they give up their fair share of points as well. If Auburn's able to maintain or keep to a minimum Alabama's offense, not letting them take easy shots, not because they're going to take shots. They're going to throw up threes. I mean, if I look back at the Texas game here, trying to pull that up, the lead scorer only shot the ball 8 times, which 7 of 8, which is an outstanding shot percentage. But Auburn has been known to do the same thing. They took 55 shots versus Texas, which is actually 14 less than what Texas took, and beat them by 23, which is absolutely ridiculous. They take smart shots. 29 threes, 17 were made for Alabama, which this is basically what Alabama's been built on ever since Auburn kind of emerged as a 3-point shooting team in 2019. Alabama got, I don't say they get jealous, but it happened. I'm going to throw shade. Alabama shoots the ball very well. They do. Denver Jones is going to be key here. He's going to be on Mark Sears. And, of course, going to be switching off between Miles Kelly. And, of course, those two have been tenacious as well as Todd. I keep not putting Todd Pettiford in this conversation. Auburn's 3 guards versus Alabama's 3 guards is going to be must-see TV, both offensively and defensively. But the edge there for Auburn is that they play great on both sides of the ball, while Alabama's defense has been lacking as of late. I believe Mark Sears has gotten benched twice this season. But regardless, this game will come down to how often can Auburn stop Alabama. You saw, we talked about it a little earlier, that of course they did lose earlier in the year. They lost to Oklahoma. They lost to Ole Miss at home. Ole Miss was able to hold this team to 64 points. And if you're Bruce Pearl, if you're Bergmeister and Stephen Pearl, you're watching that film like it's. Well, I'm trying to think like it's the news. You were locked in to the film of what Ole Miss did versus Alabama, because And, this is not an easy team to hold that to. I mean, they scored 64 in this game. They still average 90 a game. They're still averaging 30 more than that. And what happened is they just kind of held on. They took a lot of shots in that game. Ole Miss was 27 of 70 from the field, 6 of 21 from the 3-point line. But they kept on and held Alabama out of it. And if you can do that, I'm trying to see if there was like a possession clock thing, but I don't know if there is, which would be awesome. But here's the thing right here. In that game, Alabama had 21 turnovers. 21 turnovers. And you're going to have a defense that is going to be the best that Alabama has seen this season. They've not seen a defense like Auburn. They've not played Tennessee. They haven't played Florida yet. So it's going to be a tough matchup for them, as well as it's going to be a tough matchup for Auburn because, for Auburn, you're looking back at the past few games. You got a hot start, and what happened? Foot came off the gas pedal. You're going to play in a very ruckus airplane hangar this Saturday where, they're finally going to fill up the seats. It's going to be loud. And it's going to be a place where if you're not on your A game and you start taking some stupid shots, because Auburn shot selection is pretty all over the place. If you let them get on a run and let's say Auburn starts off hot again, well, it's going to be like Florida all over again. It will be like Florida all over again. If you go on this run, you get a big lead and then you just let up. Alabama has the shooters. Alabama has the scorers to get back into it and get the lead. And that's going to be the big thing here is can Auburn continue to play 40 minutes of effortful basketball? That's what I want to see from Auburn. This is not their first test of the year, but this is a big test. This is number 1 versus number 2. This is basically who gets the lead of the SEC, who gets to be the person in charge of and in charge of their destiny and in charge of who gets to win a regular season SEC title. Because of course these teams play twice a year, but whoever gets that first win gets a leg up. Basketball runs to the state of Alabama. That's just how it is. But yeah, Auburn is going to have to do what they've not done the past few games, and that's play both halves, play the entire game. Not letting up for 5 minutes, not letting a team go on a 9-0 run and then giving up a 17, 16, 15 point lead. You can't do that. And of course, you're banged up a little bit. I understand that. But you talk about the 10 person personnel you got, the 10-person roster, you go 10 deep. You got starters all over the place. This a backup point guard would be a starter for anybody else in college basketball. Utilize that. Sub more. Chris Moore got some quality minutes. SEMO is one of the most. If everybody played like SEMO played, effort-wise, Auburn would never lose a basketball game. If you give SEMO 40 minutes, he might put up like 6 points. But the defensive effort, the rebounding effort, he'll foul out by the 30-minute mark more than likely. But regardless, you got some basketball players that can put in the effort when it's needed. And you got to do that Saturday. Prediction wise, I've been struggling debating who I'm going to pick here. I think this game could go either way. This game could be either a 1-point game or someone slips up and it's a 10-point loss for whoever loses. I think with the defense here for Auburn, I think the edge slightly leans towards the Tigers. I think they got the defense, the offense, both ranked highly enough to where this should be a win for the Tigers. It should be. I think you're going to see the differences in defense here. Again, it's Auburn's best versus Alabama's best, but Auburn's really good versus Alabama's not so well. I'm going to say Auburn gets the win, and I'm going to say 88-84. Auburn gets the win in Tuscaloosa and goes 1-0 in the Iron Bowl basketball. And then, of course, end of the year off, hopefully already have clinching the regular season SEC title, but the chance to win it and officially make it official in Neville Arena in March before we get started with March Madness, which I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm A-okay with Auburn winning the regular season title and then just kind of taking it easy through the SEC tournament and then getting right back into it in March Madness. Because this team is really good. I said it before. This is the best basketball team that Bruce Pearl has put on a court since he's been at Auburn. It is. When everything is working well, it is the best practice to game to postseason, everything. It's the best front court and back court combination we have seen from Bruce Pearl since he has arrived on campus. This team has what it takes to win a national championship. Knock on wood. You probably hear the thunder behind me. This team has the opportunity to do that, but you got to put in the effort. You got to keep the edge. When your foot is on a team's throat, you cannot give them air. You need to push down harder. When you're in a race, you get to front of the gas pedal. You're not letting up. If you're in first place, the guy right behind you can pass you if you let up. You can't let up. Auburn basketball cannot let up on Saturday because Alabama has the offense to shoot Auburn out of the gym, just like Florida tried to do, and basically did do. I'm not going to call that game a blowout. Auburn only lost by 9 points to Florida. I'm not calling it a blowout, but it felt like one, but it wasn't one. Let it be known. But with that being said, that's going to do it for the basketball segment. We're going to quick little break. Let's have the break of some women's basketball as they get ready for Tennessee tonight at 5:30 p.m. So we'll talk about that game a little bit before we get into diamond sports and a little gymnastics before we get out of here. So stay tuned, and we will be right back. Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes, looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program. And we're available on thewarreport.com. Second page of the shop, you got your college loop merch right there. Most kind of items you can wear your entire life. A little late to get it for Valentine's Day, but I don't think there's a green version, so I don't know if St. Patrick's Day will be the best, but Easter wear right around the corner. Of course, the merch, I would love it if you all bought the merch. If everybody bought the merch, it'd be awesome. But, it's only really like the fourth or fifth best way you can support the channel. The best way you can support the channel is, of course, by subscribing right here on the College Loop, liking this video, and commenting. What's your prediction for the first round of the Iron Bowl of basketball, and what do the Tigers need to do to take down Alabama this Saturday? So let me know what you think in the comment section below. But, get the merch too while you're. If you've already done the three things, now go get the merch. Now go try out the merch. But with that being said, this is going to continue on with the show. Auburn women's hoops continuing their season going along here tonight at 5:30 as they traveled to Knoxville to take on the Tennessee Lady Vols. Tennessee coming off of a loss to LSU and a win over UConn in the past two games. Auburn also with the same trajectory here in the last two games, a loss to Oklahoma, which I'm still very upset about, and a win versus Texas A&M, which I'm super excited about that one. Auburn currently not projected to win this game. Tennessee was given the 93.6% chance to win this one per ESPN FPI. And, for what it's worth, Tennessee is ranked, but they're only like a game up on Auburn, a game and a half in the SEC standings. Have anything to say about that? They're 4-6 to Auburn's 3-8. Something to look out for, maybe, but I'm not sure about that. Talasia Cooper, one of Tennessee's bright stars, leading them in 4 statistical categories, including blocks with 0.8, steals with 3.2, rebounds and with 6, and points with 17.5. Of course, Auburn's got almost the same thing with Jonah Gaston, 21 points per game, 6.9 rebounds, which is a nice stat to have, and 1.1 blocks per game for Jonah Gaston, and Marshawn Bostic with 2.2 steals and 5.5 assists per game. And basically, Auburn's found a rhythm in a way as of late of what works for them, which is getting shots up to, Yuting Dong and trying to get players in the paint to get points. I mean, you look at Deona Gaston last game, she only had like 4 points in the first half, and then she turned around and scored 20 in the second half, which was a huge, huge game for her, and Auburn almost came back and won that game. If free throws had anything to say about it, but Auburn is going to be in charge of their destiny going forward. They're not in the bracketology. They're not. And they would need wins like Tennessee and wins to round out the year to get back into that. This is a team that, when healthy, has the opportunity to be one of the better teams in the SEC. And that's saying a lot. But at Tennessee, I mean, they shoot well, 33% from the 3-point line, 44% from the field. As a free throw shooting team, they're about where Auburn is. Pretty is from that standpoint. But this is a team that Auburn could beat. I know they're the record and the stats and everything, but you went into Oklahoma and you almost came out with a win. I think you could go into Knoxville and walk out with a win. I don't know how plausible that is, but it could happen. All you gotta do is just make your shots when you need to. And Auburn right now is always gonna need to. I mean, Auburn is a team right now, free throw wise, 68%. You're shooting better than Tennessee is. And across the board, I think you're shooting better than Tennessee is. 44.2 to 44.4. So by 0.2, you're beating them by field goal percentage. Free throw percentage, you're up by like 0.4. And 3-point wise, you're up by 0.6. Take smart shots. And when it comes down to it late in the game, make the key ones. Make the ones you need to make. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I don't think it's going to be a game Tennessee walks in and walks out of with a massive win. But this Tennessee team is very good. But Auburn is one of those teams that is very hard to kick them off your leg. Like they're going to be the ones that are going to fight and ankle bite their way to making sure you don't put up more than 80 points a game. They're going to try their best. I'm going to take Tennessee. But it would not surprise me in the slightest if Auburn found a way to come out there with a win. But I mean, Tennessee's has only beaten 2 ranked teams all year out of the 6 they've played. So definitely opportunities for Auburn to get the win there. And this, I mean, they lost by 1 to Oklahoma. Auburn lost by 2, but they lost by 1 at home. Oklahoma won by 2 at home for them. It could happen. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Tennessee to start off with. But as we move on to baseball, who's getting their season started this weekend versus Holy Cross, they have officially announced who will be on the mound this weekend starting off. So Cade Fisher will get the start on Friday. The junior coming out of Florida last year. Last season, of course, played 26 games, made 9 starts, 4-3 record, 7.13 ERA. Struck out 76 batters last year. Very talented guy. I mean, you got to be talented to go play baseball at Florida. And something I will notice here, if I just continue here, on Saturday, Sam Dutton is going to be starting, the senior who's a transfer out of LSU. Last year, 20 appearances, 4 starts, 5.86 ERA, struck out 29 batters last year and did not allow a run in his first 4 appearances of the season last year. And lastly, on Sunday, you're going to see a freshman out there. Was a number 65 overall player in the class of 2024. Right? 2024, yeah. Christian Chatterton will be the guy on Sunday. And I guess the funny thing here is about the pitchers for Auburn baseball this weekend, at least. None of them were on the team last year. Jogo is gone. A few other guys, of course, gone to the league or elsewhere. But yeah, super stoked for Auburn baseball. Of course, Auburn baseball right now has a lot of hype. You know, he had a bad year last year. Nothing went your way. A lot of health issues. You bring in a pretty awesome recruiting class and an almost even better transportal class. Opportunities are everywhere for Auburn baseball to be right back into the thick of things this season. I think some people have put them in like 13th in the SEC, or Auburn softball is at the 13th, but Auburn definitely have a chance to turn a few heads this season. But yeah, those are your starting pitchers. Of course, we'll talk more about how their weekend went on the Sunday show, as well as Auburn softball, who talk about real quick right now, has their Clearwater Invitational this weekend, actually starting today on Thursday, February 13th at 3 o'clock p.m. CST. We take on the Clemson Tigers, which, if you play them in the regular season, hopefully that means you don't got to play them in the postseason. Auburn not having the best of luck when they play Clemson in the postseason. And they'll be their one game of the day, and then Friday they'll take on Virginia at 9 o'clock a.m. CST, and there'll be a doubleheader day for them as they take on UCF that same day at 2:30 p.m. Those games will be on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. Words, I can't figure out the word I wanted to say there. And then Saturday, another doubleheader taking on Charlotte at 12 o'clock p.m. CST on ESPN Plus, and then they'll have their first ranked test of the year as they'll take on number 9 Oklahoma State at 3 p.m. Again on ESPN Plus. So a massive implications there for Auburn. Yeah, started off hot this past weekend. You had a player get on OSC Player of the Week. You had a few bombs get hit over the fence. Yeah, quite a few of those actually. And of course, started off 5-0. But opportunities to take on a top 10 team and really show off where you stand as a program. Show it wasn't a rebuild. It was a reload with new coaches at the helm with the Malvos. And then rounding out Sunday at 11 a.m., you got Liberty to round out the Clearwater Invitational. And then, of course, you got one more showcase. You got a J.B. Moore Memorial. And right after that, on March 8th, which I believe is the same. Oh, they got that on the same day? Oh, that's going to be a busy day in Auburn. March 8th is also the day of the Iron Bowl basketball in Neville Arena, and then March 8th is also the start of Auburn softball's SEC slate. So that'll be a fun one. That slate actually goes from Saturday to Monday, so that's actually a weird one. Actually, why is that? Why does it start on Saturday instead of Monday? Odd. I didn't realize that whenever I looked at the schedule earlier. But yeah, super stoked for Auburn softball. It's going to be another real test for them. They got 6 games this weekend, had 5 last weekend. So 6 this weekend. Of course, next weekend they got 5. And then Jamie Moore, they got 5 again. So a lot of time to test the waters on what kind of team you're going to be this year, especially that game on Saturday versus Oklahoma State. So super stoked for that game. Potential is everywhere. Got a lot of potential for Auburn softball. And then rounding out the show, going to talk a little about Auburn Gymnastics because in just a day and a half, on Valentine's Day, they'll have already traveled to Gainesville, take on the number 2 team in the country. Right now, correction, number 3 team in the country in the Florida Gators. Auburn currently sits at number 12, somehow still at 12. This is gonna be a hard meet to win. It's in Gainesville, and of course, Florida is one of the blue bloods of gymnastics. Sometimes the judges kind of go in the favor of the home team. Sometimes that's a little secret. We have a tough one to win, regardless. So Florida really, really good. Auburn still really good as well. They're going to have their best meet that they've had all year. Of course, Auburn has been winning some of these, but very close. They did lose to Kentucky by a good margin, but you beat Georgia by point 1. You beat Arkansas by the math on that one. 0.5. Yeah, about 0.5. 0.45 to be exact. You got opportunities to beat some ranked teams going all around the place. But regardless, I don't know if it happens this weekend. Of course, next week is the Iron Bowl of Gymnastics, which would take place in the airplane hangar, which things always are weird in that place is just weird in general. It's just ugly as well. Oh yeah, shout out Auburn softball. Make sure to show them some love if they were to get a major upset, because implications start to rise. Super stoked for all of Auburn spring sports performing out of not out of character. I almost said out of character. Performing very well. Start off their seasons, but regardless, that's going to do it for this installment of the College Loop podcast. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this Thursday's episode. Of course, I'm Dylan Larck on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck, DYLENLARCK. And of course, you can find me right in the College Loop podcast. If you like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your predictions for the Iron Bowl of basketball part 1. And what does Auburn got to do to take down Alabama this Saturday? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, check us out on social media platforms: Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. The works all is at the College Loop, and audio versions of the show on Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and of course, Amazon Music. Now, with all that being said, thanks for watching this episode of the College Loop podcast yet again. And as always, War Eagle.